Do Buddhists believe that the followers of other religions also can gain their final salvation? Oh, this is another interesting question. So what is your opinion? Before I answer this question, so I would like to find out whether you can say yes or no. Yes. Then why do people convert others into their religion? Why do Buddhists convert others into Buddhism? If you say yes, why not you allow others to follow their own religion? Because yes or no, we have to say by considering very carefully. At once we cannot say yes or no. What is the meaning of this word salvation? Because when we use this word salvation, at once you think of heaven. That is why you say yes. Yes, there is no problem. The followers of any religion in this world can go to heaven. There is no problem from the Buddhist point of view. And those who have no religion also can. Because that religious label is not the important subject or the important issue here. So what is the salvation, meaning of salvation from the Buddhist point of view? Is it heaven or something else? The word Nibbana, when we use the word Nibbana, then people create another Buddhist heaven by taking this word, Nibbana. Because at once they think this is a wonderful place for us to go and enjoy our life, eternal life. So we have to avoid this misconception. People like it. Yes, there are many things that people like, but we have to analyze and we must try to understand whether it is true or not. So without using this word Nibbana, is there any other term that we can use? What do you mean by suffering? What sort of sufferings? Anger. Anger is not suffering. So we have two kinds of suffering, physical and mental. Every living beings, every living things, even plant life also experience this. So this suffering is common to every existing things in this universe. Why? What is the reason? Plant life also suffer. Worm. That is not the answer. Why all these existing things suffer? There is one suitable word for that. Due to unsatisfactoriness. We experience, every living beings experience unsatisfactoriness. Then what is the cause of this unsatisfactoriness? This is the way how you have to analyze. First, you must try to understand how things come into existence. Now, what is the cause of existence? Yes? You take only karma. Karma is only very minor mental energy. That is not the only cause. And the plant life have no karma, nothing to do with karmas, but they too suffer. The things come into existence due to the combinations of elements and energies. No controversy. Elements also we analyze, then later we find out elements also belong to energies. Then only energies. Again, these energies we divide into different groups. Cosmic energies, mental energies, and natural energies. They are known as worldly conditions. These are the things that people cannot understand. That is why they create their own imaginations. And we do not know how these energies get together, combine together, exist together. We do not know. If you study, we can understand. So easiest answer is everything is created by God, and God is responsible for everything. But there are many who cannot satisfy with this answer. They want to know more details. Why God wanted to create? For what purpose? What does He gain by creating all these things? So when we analyze without depending on religion or without depending on God, then we can understand something. Now scientists try to analyze many things without depending on religion or God. But people accept that their discoveries are true. But they have to discover many more things. Their discoveries are not the final analysis. So what they have discovered so far seems to be true. Cannot deny. We make use of them and we experience, we feel that it is true. So the combinations of mental energies, again we have to analyze into so many groups. I have already explained the nature of our mental energy. Polluted mental energy, purified mental energy, the mental energy with karmic forces, just only one aspect. Then mental energies we develop by using our craving, our selfishness, our attachments, our ignorance, hatred, all these are mental energies. Every mental energy contributes something for this existence. But these mental energies alone cannot produce a life. That is why so many other factors, cosmic energies and natural energies, combined together, they have gravity or magnetic power to combine together, then exist as a bundle. Then the Buddha used very meaningful words to explain what this bundle is. The ingredients inside this bundle. How many are there according to the Buddha? You have forgotten 5 aggregates. Pancha, 5. Khanda, aggregate. In one group, there are so many ingredients, categorized into 5. What are those 5? I know you cannot remember the Pali word, but you know the idea. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. 5. 5 aggregate. Combinations of these 5 aggregate produce conditioned life. Whether it is humans or animals or devas or brahmas, same. The meaning, Rupa, elemental side. All the elements belong to that group. When we analyze the elements, there are 28. We know only 4 elements. Again, mental energies. How many are there? 4. What are those 4? I am repeating again and again and again. Forever I think I had to repeat. What are those 4? Our feeling, our perception, our mental habits. I am using simple words for you to understand. And our consciousness. I have explained item by item all these things. When all these things join together as a bundle, the Buddha used only one word, panchakhanda. So we carry these 5. When you analyze, only these 5. And this is the way how Buddha has rejected that belief of eternal soul, Atma. When people came to debate, argue with him, then he asked them to analyze. Analyze the mind, analyze the body, analyze the element, analyze the senses. Where is the soul? No, please. It is only belief. This is the way how he has rejected this belief. So the combinations of these 5 never keep quiet. Now I am going to tell you why unsatisfactoriness take place. What is the cause of it? It is not a curse from a devil or ghost or deva or God. It is natural. So when these 5 groups exist together, friction, conflicts, disagreement, clashes take place every second. Mental, physical. Then again, mind and body, body and mind, body, elements and elements. Analyze in this way. Then you can understand why this unsatisfactoriness exists. Why we are not happy with this life, with this body, with our mind? Why people always complain about worries and problems and troubles and miseries and difficulties, friction? Why people always complain about their physical body, this pain, this trouble, that trouble? Elemental side. Again, the mental energy also contribute to create so many disturbances in our physical body. Disturb the glands, blood circulation, cells, brain cells. Then unsatisfactoriness, complain. Then go and pray. Your prayers cannot stop all these things. Your God or your Buddha also cannot stop all these things. The Buddha says these things are natural. Your duty is to understand why these things take place. Then you can adjust your way of life to avoid so many things, undue, unnecessary worries and pains and troubles and accusation. You can avoid. This is the only solution. So, salvation means the method introduced by, here I am talking from the Buddhist point of view, a method introduced by the Buddha for us to get rid of all these problems, unsatisfactory. So without using the word nirvana, because as soon as we implant this concept of nirvana in our mind, our worldly mind create, it is a wonderful place. So we create another misconception because of our craving. Now you realized the meaning of salvation, isn't it? What is salvation? Freedom from our physical and mental unsatisfactoriness. The word suffering is very limited. So every second we experience this unsatisfactory. I cannot satisfy with my own mind. I cannot satisfy with my physical body. The word we use, my, also wrong, but we have to use it. Otherwise we cannot talk. This is the Buddhist concept of salvation. Then what do others say? How do they explain this salvation? I think you can remember the way how I have explained. I think about 2 weeks ago I have told you how different people maintain certain belief or concept and how to reach or how to gain their final salvation. Because they too agree. This life is uncertain, miserable. That is why they also talk about salvation. Otherwise, why not they advise us to remain here forever? There is no religion or no any other method to tell us like this. Those who do not believe in any religion or concept of God maintain a belief here in this universe there is something which is called universal consciousness. Because they don't want to use the word creator God. Universal consciousness. Very highly intellectuals maintain this belief. And all these living things and matters are the unit derived from that universal consciousness. So when we move, when we talk, when we walk, when we fight, when we enjoy, we do everything according to that universal consciousness. This is only a puppet. So after our death, this unit, this exists here as our consciousness, absorbed into that universal consciousness. That is the end of it. No more existence, no more suffering. To them, that is the final salvation. Then many other religions says no. There is a creator God who create everything, good and bad, everything. They say there must be negative and positive. If there are no bad people in this world, we cannot find out good people also. We say some people are good because there are bad people. If there are no ugly people in this world, there are no pretty and handsome and beautiful people. In everything, there must be negative and positive. This is their argument. Therefore, you cannot blame God for your suffering. For people to understand, He created. From the Buddhist point of view, our argument is this. Now, what is the purpose of His creation? Why does He want to create? For us to experience very unpleasant, very unhappy, unsatisfactory life. There is no correct answer. If He wants for us to enjoy our life, He should have created us straight away in heaven. Then there won't be any problem in this world. So what is the difficulty for Him to create all these living beings in heaven? That is why we are not ready to accept that interpretation. They say God created everything and He also created heaven and hell to reward and to punish. More work for Him now. First He created man, because man is the most notorious living beings in the whole world. Others are not that bad. Because of man, God had to create hell also. And there are few good people, and for them He created heaven. Then He had to judge each and every person. Not an easy job. Can you imagine? Judge each and every person. Then choose. Okay, you go up, you go down. That is why He is doing. Are you ready to accept this? Then some others see. There are few more religions. God created us. Yes, it is true. But heavens and hells are not the only two places for us to experience punishments and reward. There are many other places. See the differences now. And they include all the other living beings, humans, animals, spirits, ghosts, angels, devas, brahmas, visible and invisible living beings. So different forms of existence take place according to the will of that God. So He is responsible. All these are His creation. Now controversy amongst different religious groups. They also say, if you want to find out your salvation, and what is the definitions of their salvation? They say, we have a soul created by a God. When we abuse this, misuse this, we have to suffer again and again and again. They too believe a rebirth. So they have no salvation unless and until that soul is dirty. So when they could manage to purify this soul, then the God take back. To be with Him, a union with the Creator God. That is the definitions of the salvation. Earlier, I have told you, some others say, no repeated birth and death. You have no other choice. No another rebirth. This is the only one. If you are not ready to obey and listen and follow the message given by the God, you have no salvation. Completely lost. Then forever you have to suffer. Again, analyze this word forever. Suffer forever. If you listen and obey and pray and believe, then you can enjoy your life experiencing only pleasant, nice, good things. Forever. Experience forever. Now you like to eat durian. You go far distance to buy durian. How do you feel if you eat durian almost every day? How long can you eat durian? Well, you like. You crave for that. So whatever we gain, we experience as pleasure or happiness or pleasant feeling or taste, there will be unsatisfactoriness. Remember this. We get fed up with that. After that we want something else. So this word forever is a sugar-coated word, not meaningful. Now let us come back to the Buddhist definitions of salvation. Just now I told you. Salvation means complete freedom from existence. Because if we exist, we have to experience all those things. Freedom from physical and mental unsatisfactoriness. Freedom from this battle from our birth up to the last breath. How we fight for our survival, for our pleasure, for our living. All these troubles and problems we create in this world because of that craving for our existence, for our living. Then where is happiness? Where is salvation? But different kinds of unsatisfactoriness we experience in different places. As human beings, as animals, or ghosts, or spirit, or devas, or brahmas. All these living beings experience different type of unsatisfactoriness. Human unsatisfactoriness is not like animals' unsatisfactoriness. Devas' unsatisfactoriness is not like humans' unsatisfactoriness. Remember this. They too have unsatisfactoriness. Brahmas also have unsatisfactoriness in their life, but differ when you compare with other living beings. Then where is the salvation? Now I have explained the meaning of this word, salvation. Now our question is whether the followers of other religions also can find out their salvation or not. You said yes. Then I advise you, before you say yes or no, to analyze properly. For certain things, yes. Certain things, no. But others say, by following your religions, it is impossible for you to find out. Impossible. They use this word. No hope at all. Unless you come and accept or believe this particular religion. Buddhists never say like this. We cannot say like this. There is only one God who creates everything. Unless you accept this particular God, you have no salvation. You must go through this channel. This is there, but Buddhists never say it like this. Those who respect every religion and those who believe that the followers of every religion can find out their salvation without any difficulty. They give an example. Now all these rivers, the waters of different rivers, we introduce them by giving different names. Pahang River, Klang River, Ring River. These are the names given by us. But the river does not know the name of that particular river. Like animals and fish, birds also we give name, but they do not know their names. When you catch a fish, we give a name, but the fish does not know. So, all these waters of different rivers one day reach and flow into the great ocean. After that, become sea water. The original name disappears. In the sea, nobody can recognize or introduce this water come from that river or this river. One taste, saltish. Therefore, whatever religions we practice, whatever names we give to introduce God, whether Allah or Creator God or Brahma, any other name, God is one. So the followers of all these religions one day will reach the same God, just like the sea. Now, what is our answer to this interpretation? Are we going to agree? Yes, try to say yes or no. What is your idea? Yes. Without any difficulty, we can say yes. But, then we have to add this, beauty but. But there is a problem. Sea water is not the end of this flowing. The water that which reach the sea through different rivers again come back, drop as rain into the same rivers or into the same sea. We can see the difference now. So whatever they reach there as final salvation is not the final salvation from the Buddhist point of view. Just like the sea water again can come back. We can say yes, we all can go to heaven. Just now I told you. All can go to Brahma world, no problem. But again, one day come back. And they do not know that. They take this as final salvation. That is why we means Buddhism here. The Buddha used this. He gives this definition. Tanhakkayo virago nirodho nibbana. What is the definitions of this word nirvana? Free from all these mental impurities, mental defilements, all our selfishness, craving, desire, anger, jealousy and ignorance, and again free from these internal and external energies, cosmic energies and elements. If these things come and join again, there is no salvation. But to understand this, you have to think, you have to learn. Otherwise, it's very easy for you to think, yes, there is heaven, that is the end and final salvation. Small children also can understand that. Nothing to learn, nothing to analyze. Then, those who have maintained this belief very strongly for more than 1,000 to 1,500 years, that their religion is the only religion that can show the path to find out salvation or to go to heaven. Today, many of them have realized that their belief is wrong. I do not know whether you have read, it appeared in the newspaper also several times, especially Catholic Church announce, officially announce. Formally, they said nothing doing, must go through Jesus Christ, otherwise no salvation, no heaven. But today, they say, Catholic Church says, the followers of other religions also can find out their salvation. First time they announce in the history. They realize this. But still some others are reluctant to say like this. If they say like this, they miss so many things. They won't be able to convert people. Therefore they hold on to this. Still they say must go through our religion, otherwise no salvation. Then what did the Buddha say? Just now I mentioned. Because to them, salvation means heaven or paradise. In the Buddha's discourse, I think also a few weeks ago I told you how he has taught us. If you are keen, if you want to go to heaven, and what you have to do, what are the duties? But no religious labels there. The Buddha never uttered even one word in his teaching that only those who follow the Buddha and those who practice only Buddhism can go to heaven. No such word in the Buddha's teaching. What he said? Those who live as gentlemen, gentle human beings, by fulfilling all their duties, responsibilities, without violating peace and happiness of others, without disturbing others, those who can lead honest and respectable life can go to heaven. No religious label there. So all those who have different religious labels, such as Hindus, Christians, Muslims, or free thinkers, if they maintain these good qualities, their beliefs are not important there. If these qualities are there, without any difficulty, they can go to heaven. This is the Buddhist concept. So, heaven is not monopolized, reserved by one particular religious group. They cannot do that. Although they try to monopolize, claim the whole universe as their property, created by their father. Sun and moons and galaxies and universe, everything are created by their father, if not grandfather. But Buddhism never says this kind of thing. In simple language, the Buddha explained how all these things come into existence, and all these things are impermanent, exist for some time, long period. But one day definitely there must be an end to it. Then existence takes place again and again. Those dispersed particles, elements, energies, again join together and produce something else. Exist for some time, again disperse, disintegrate, again produce something else. This is the nature of universe, nature of existence. So, we cannot monopolize heaven. We cannot say only Buddhists can go to heaven. So we believe the followers of any religion or without any religion, they maintain these good qualities, not belief. Belief alone cannot do anything. Belief are imaginations. You strongly believe that you can go to heaven through this. If the method is wrong, it is impossible. If that you strongly believe that you can go to heaven through this. If the method is wrong, it is impossible. Now that is the danger of belief. So, you can say, I strongly believe the Buddha. I worship him, I pray. I strongly believe I can go to heaven just because I worship and believe. The Buddha never agree with you. There were many discourses. When the Buddha was about to pass away, when he was lying down, when the Devas, or some angels or Devas, having heard that the Buddha is going to pass away, they wanted to come and pay their last respects. And they brought beautiful flowers to offer. They could not come nearer to the Buddha because there were so many disciples. There's a belief, I do not know whether right or wrong, that Devas don't like to mix up with human beings, very dirty and smelly. You know, there are certain animals like pigs and dogs that we don't like to go near. We say like this. To Devas, when they come nearer to us, our smell is terrible. They cannot tolerate. That's why in the Buddha's teaching, there is one particular chapter. It's called Devata Samyutta. Only at midnight, when there are no more disciples in the Buddha's room, then at midnight they come and discuss with the Buddha. So every night he reserves at least 2 hours for the Devas to discuss with them. There are so many dialogue and discussion. So whether it is true or not. So when Devas wanted to come and pay, they could not come. Ananda came and reported to the Buddha. Devas wanted to come and offer some flowers. When they heard that you are passed away, and what did the Buddha say? That is not the correct way for them to pay real respect to the Buddha. Whether they offer flowers or not, whether they come and worship or not, if they can follow at least some of the advices given by me, they are the one who really respect the Buddha. Here you can see the Buddha did not encourage anybody to come and worship him. But we like to worship him. We like to respect him. It's very good. Because of that attitude we respect him. Then simply by maintaining such belief and external activities where Buddha has pointed out. Just now I forgot to mention there are many others who believe by practicing certain rites and rituals and ceremonies they can go to heaven, find out salvation. That is how they organize so many rites and rituals in the name of every religion. Buddhists and Hindus are very famous for that. Others also have, but not that much. Especially Hindus. And Buddhists also learn from them because originated in India. They also borrowed many things from Hindus. But the Buddha did not encourage or acknowledge many of these things. He introduced only 3 things. Dana, Sila, Bhavana. Very simple. Dana means offering. The meaning is reduce your selfishness. It is not the offering of food. Dana does not mean offering of food. Reduce your selfishness and allow others also to experience little bit of comfort. Allow others also to experience. Don't try to monopolize and accumulate everything as my property. That is the idea of dana. That is the first thing. Reduce your selfishness. Then sila. Sila means discipline. Behave as real, cultured, civilized, understanding human being by maintaining at least humane qualities. If you cannot go beyond that, at least there are some good qualities you have to maintain to live in simple language, to live without disturbing others. That is the highest sila. Without bluffing, swindling, cheating, disturbing, attacking, criticizing, condemning. That is sila. That is the highest sila. That is the second thing. Dana, sila, bhavana. The last one. Bhavana means mental culture. Culture your mind. Because there are so many dirts, so many rubbish, misconception in your mind. Unload all these things from the mind. That is called bhavana. That is called mental culture. You must know how to analyze, to understand the nature of rubbish that you maintain in your mind. So much selfishness, jealousy, anger, hatred, you maintain. By keeping all those things in your mind, you go and pray to Buddha, go and pray to God, to go to heaven. Do you think it really works? See the way how Buddha has introduced. He did not say, come and worship and pray, I'll wash away all your sins. Very easy. Again, another one. Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Further development. Maintain these three qualities. Sila, discipline. There are different categories for us to uphold, maintain our discipline. Children, certain kind of discipline. Young people, some other kind of discipline. Again, married people. Again, elders. They have different kind of discipline. So what is the meaning of discipline? We must know how to adjust our way of life to live, to do our work without disturbing, without destroying, without bluffing. This is called discipline. How many people can do this? Then Samadhi. Almost every minute, every hour, every day, we are going on creating all sort of evil thoughts, harboring in our mind. Our jealousy, our anger, our hatred, our illusions, so many things, imaginations, going on developing. So mind has become a rubbish dump to keep all these things. The way how we use. So if we can discipline your mind without allowing all those rubbish, evil forces to come and disturb the purity of your mind, your mental energy. at least for a few minutes or few hours, without harboring jealousy, anger, hatred, ill will in your mind. Then bhavana. No, sila, samadhi, panya. Dana, sila, bhavana, another categories. I am talking about sila, samadhi, panya. So when we develop these two things earlier, naturally we gain panya or prajna, wisdom, realization, understanding. Then all the rubbish that we maintain as truths and facts and realities in our life, in the world, we unload all those things. Then the purity, the wisdom, understanding appear. Now there is no purity, no wisdom, no understanding. Mind has become a rubbish dump. Every minute we accumulate all sort of rubbish. We have 6 channels to bring all those things into our mind. We use our eyes, nose, mouth, ear, body, and the mind itself. 6 channels. All these 6 channels bring rubbish and rubbish and rubbish and dump it, pollute the purity of the mind. By keeping all these rubbish in our mind, we go and pray and worship and offer, asking forgiveness, wash away our sin. Do you think really work? It's very easy, anyone can do. Buddha did not agree this kind of belief. Introspect. Don't behave as self-hypocrites. Try to understand what is inside your mind. Whether you are honest or selfish or not, whether you are cruel or kind, you can understand. Otherwise you can pretend you are very kind, you are understanding, but you know the nature of your own mind. See the gradual development. Then when that mind becomes pure, the final salvation. It is not heaven. It is not paradise. It is not Brahma world. Pure mind. Untainted mind. After that, selfishness, jealousy, anger, hatred, ill will, misunderstanding, enmity never appear in that mind. Now we harbor all these things, we nurture all these things in our mind because of this rubbish dump. Mind is a rubbish dump. The way how we collect things through these 6 senses. So when we meditate, at least for a few minutes, we stop all these 6 channels. At that time, these 6 channels cannot bring rubbish to dump here. Stop for the time being. Then maintain some sort of purity, calmness in the mind. See the way how Buddha has introduced this. He has never said, you must come and pray. Pray to this God, that God, or pray to this Buddha, or that Buddha, or belly Buddha, or that Buddha. These are all our imaginations, created by us. In fact, we disgrace our human intelligence. What we really practice as religion just to disgrace human intelligence. The Buddha had a very big battle to wipe out this kind of belief at 2,500 years ago in India. What sort of rubbish ideas people had in the name of religion. But he could manage to wipe out many things. But after a few hundred years, time is passing away, all the dark clouds again come and occupy. Then the purity of Buddhism also gone. Then divided into this school, that school, Mahayana school, Theravada school, Vajrayana school, Tantrayana school, and bring more and more rubbish into the name of the Buddha and challenge, our school is better than your school. Our Mahayana is better than your Theravada. And our Vajrayana is more powerful than your Yana. We bring selfishness and rubbish and silly ideas in the name of Buddha, in the name of religion, and develop more jealousy and selfishness. What about other religions? Worse than Buddhism. How many denominations are there in Christianity today? More than 400. One group cannot agree with the other group in the name of one Jesus, one God. Then why do they blame Buddhists? What about Hindus? Nobody knows how many thousands. Worse than others. This is the nature of human mind. And we challenge, we justify our method is correct. All these are our human weaknesses. So, now I am going out of the way. So our subject is, not yet finished. Please sit down. Whether the followers of other religion can find out their salvation. That is the question. So I went on explaining how people maintain different beliefs and how they practice different methods and what is the definition. So if the salvation means heaven or paradise, very easily we can say without any difficulty everybody can attain that, no problem. But the salvation from the Buddhist point of view is not heaven or paradise or Brahma. Then what is the definition that I gave you? By eradicating our selfishness, our greed, our craving, our ignorance, our hatred, ill will, anger. This is the rubbish dump. Unload all these rubbish from the mind. If we can do this, we can forget about the Buddha also. We can forget about the name of Buddhism or any other religious name. These are the duties or the qualities or the necessities for us to maintain, to find out salvation. So if the followers of other religions also can maintain these good qualities, there is no difficulty for them to find out their salvation from the Buddhist point of view. Therefore, Buddhists cannot say Hindus or Christians and Muslims are sinners. No, we cannot say. It is wrong. We cannot say they are bad or wicked. When you compare our life and their way of life, they are very gentle, very religious, very noble people amongst Christians, Muslims, Hindus, and those who have no religions also. This is the definition from the Buddhist point of view. If they can develop, cultivate these good qualities, irrespective of their religious label, they can find out their salvation. But not simply by worshipping or praying to any God, any Buddha, any Bodhisattva, any supernatural powers. We do all these things for our own satisfaction. But the truth is not there. I think it's enough. 1 hour, 15 minutes. What is the Buddhist attitude towards religious monopoly related to the same subject? Because some people monopolize everything. The whole universe is their property. And God is their God. If we want to go to heaven or find our salvation, we must go through their religion and through their God. Otherwise, no salvation. Monopolize everything. But what is the Buddhist attitude?